新闻发布会，工业和信息化事业在党和国家
Industry
全
and
局中具
information
有重要地位。
technology holds an important place in the cause of the party and the country. Today we have the honor to have Minister Yaqing of Industry and Information Technology to give you a briefing on the development of this sector in China and take your questions. We also have with us today member of the party leading group of the MIIT and spokesperson of the MIIT, Mr. Tian Yulong. Mr. Xiao, please. Friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to this press briefing, and let me thank the moderator for the introduction. Let me take this opportunity to say a few words on China's development in industry and information technology. Last year has been an extraordinary year, facing the severe and complex international situation, particularly the once-in-a-century COVID-19 pandemic. Under the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at the core, the MIIT, just like other ministries, has been firmly implementing the arrangements of the CPC Central Committee and State Council to fulfill our responsibilities. We have provided strong support for the supplies of epidemic control and to promote the reopening of across the industrial chain. In terms of strengthening the construction of network infrastructure, the development of the digital economy, and in other sectors, we have made new efforts. Such efforts have given a strong support for the major strategic gains in COVID response and has supported the positive growth of Chinese economy last year. We have made solid progress in turning China into a major country of manufacturing and the internet. Last year was also the concluding year of the 13th five-year plan period. Looking back at the past 5 years, the progress has been remarkable in industry and information technology. We have strengthened our comprehensive strength and made new progress in innovation across sectors. We have strengthened the drivers of growth and improved the environment for development, and have provided strong support for the growth of the real economy and indeed the overall economic performance. Here, let me share with you some numbers. First, China's industrial added value increased from 23.5 trillion yuan to 31.31 trillion yuan, maintaining its position as the world's largest manufacturer for 11 consecutive years, accounting for nearly 30% of the world's manufacturing industry. Second, during the 13th five-year plan period, the average growth rate of high-tech manufacturing added value was 10.4%, which was 4.9% higher than the average growth rate of industrial added value. And its proportion in industrial added value above a designated scale increased from 11.8% to 15.1%. Third, the added value of the information transmission, software, and information technology service industries also increased significantly from 1.8 trillion in 2015 to 3.8 trillion last year. Its share of GDP rose from 2.5% to 3.7%. Looking into the future, the 5th plenary session of the 19th CPC Central Committee drew grand blueprint for China's development during the 14th five-year plan period and beyond, emphasizing that the focus of economic development is on the real economy and that it will unswervingly turn China into a major country of manufacturing and the internet. This has pointed out the way forward for our work and provided fundamental guidance. The MIIT will base its work on the domestic and international situations. With the priorities of the country in mind, we will implement the new development philosophy, adhere to the overarching task of seeking progress while maintaining stability, take the promotion of high-quality development as the theme. We will deepen the supply-side structural reform as the main line, take reform and innovation as the fundamental driving force, and meet the people's growing need for a better life. This is our fundamental goal. We will coordinate development and safety, focus on improving the modernization level of the industrial chain and supply chain. We will enhance the advantages, make up for the shortcomings, and promote the endeavor to turn China into a major country of manufacturing and the internet. First, we will thoroughly implement the innovation-driven development strategy and strengthen the strategic support of building a major country of manufacturing and the internet. The accelerated application of new generation information technology, new material, and new energy is profoundly changing the pattern of world economic development and the pattern of international industrial division of labor. We must adhere to the most essential requirement of technological independence and self-reliance. Give full play to the advantages of China's super large-scale market and the strength of the new type of national system, vigorously promote innovation-driven development, and enhance the independent innovation capability of manufacturing. We will focus on making breakthroughs in key technologies, improve the generic basic technology supply system. Particularly, we will speed up the improvement of enterprise-based technological innovation system, encourage enterprises to increase investment, and put forward more independently developed innovation and game-changing outcomes. Innovation should be advanced not only in terms of products and technologies, but also the key is to improve our capacity for innovation, particularly in the manufacturing sector. Second, we will improve the stability and competitiveness of the supply and industrial chain and create new advantages for future development. An independent, complete, resilient, and flexible industrial and supply chain is an important guarantee for stable economic growth. China has the best developed industrial system in terms of the industrial sectors. It has also fully integrated into the global division of labor. This not only guarantees the sustained and healthy development of China's economy, but also makes important contribution to world economic growth. It is necessary to put the improvement of the stability and competitiveness of the industrial and supply chain in a prominent position, implement the program of strengthening and improving the manufacturing chain and rebuilding industrial foundation. We will accelerate the efforts to improve shortcomings and strengthening competitive edges and safeguard the economic security of the country, and stay in a good position in international competition. Third is to vigorously promote the improvement and upgrading of the industrial structure, and because industrial structural upgrading holds the key to improving the country's economic growth. We need to deepen supply-side structural reform and make hard efforts in consolidating, strengthening, improving, and smoothening. We will implement the programs of implementing major technological upgrading and promote the orderly transferring of technology domestically. We will improve the upgrading of traditional industries and advance breakthroughs in terms of integrated circuits, 5G, new energy, new materials, and high-end strategically important industries such as equipment manufacturing. We need to build a series of industrial clusters with international competitiveness. Fourth is to accelerate the development of the digital economy and build new drivers of growth. Digital transformation of the economy is a general trend. We need to grasp the development direction of the digital economy and internet-based smart economy, give full play to China's foundation and advantages in this sector, and to advance the application of the digital technologies in industries. We will advance the application of 5G, industrial internet, data center, and other new generation infrastructure, and advance the digital transformation of smaller firms and promote the deep integration of new generation ICT and manufacturing and the deep integration of the manufacturing and services. Fundamentally, it is to advance the development of the real economy. Fifth, we will further deepen reform and expand high-level opening up and continually enhance the new vitality of development. The progress of industry and information technology relies on reform and opening up. Going forward, we still need to advance reform and opening up for new progress. So, in order to turn China into a major country of manufacturing and the internet, we need to further advance reform and opening up and leverage the role of reform in terms of making breakthroughs and providing guidance. We need to meet the need for us to build China into a major country of manufacturing and the internet, deepen the reform of government functions, implement reform of the market of elements, and strengthen the policy guidance in this sector, and strengthen the attractiveness for all sorts of resources and elements in terms of China's manufacturing. We will advance the deep integration of reform and development and the interconnectedness of the two. We will further expand opening up, fully expand the access in terms of general manufacturing, and significantly lower the threshold of the market, so that our industrial and supply chain can be more innovative, can have higher added value, and can be more secure and controllable, so that we can have a stronger advantage in the participation of international cooperation and competition. So those are my opening remarks, and my colleague Tian Long and I would be happy to take your questions. Thank you, Minister Xiao. Now the floor is open for questions. Please identify your affiliation before asking your question. With CCTV, in the 14th Five-Year Plan, we are building a new development paradigm with the domestic circulation as the mainstay and international and domestic circulations reinforcing each other. How do you see the role of China's industry and information technology development in the new development paradigm, and what is your consideration and measures? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. To build a new development paradigm based on the overall reform at the deep-seated level, it is a strategic plan that bears in mind both the immediate need and long-term development. We believe that to build the new development paradigm, Industry and information technology is both the key area, the main force, and also the vanguard. We will steadfastly implement the arrangements by the CPC Central Committee and the State Council, identify the breakthroughs point, focus point, and strengthen reform and innovation. Accelerate our efforts to build this new development paradigm to realize a high quality, more effective, efficient, fairer, and more sustainable and safer development of the industry and information technology. First, we will enhance the innovation capacity of the industries through self-reliance and self-strengthening in science and technology. For example, in integrated circuit, key software, key new materials, and those initiatives to show up weak links in major equipment manufacturing, major areas in internet, and also bottleneck technologies. We will also build a national manufacturing innovation center to build such an innovation network to promote the technological supply of generic technologies. We will strengthen the role of enterprises in innovation and to enhance the innovation capacity. Second, we will maintain the wholeness of the industrial system to upgrade and modernize the industrial chain. We need to shore up the weak links and upgrade the traditional industrial chains. This is the focus of our efforts. We will give priority to core technologies, components, basic techniques, equipment manufacturing, basic materials, and industrial software. We will enhance the resilience of these technologies so that they will keep up with the pace and the need. Third, we will expand domestic demand and smoothen the domestic economic circulation to provide a higher level supplies. We must focus on domestic demand. This is a huge market, and we must enhance the quality, increase the varieties, improve the quality, and create brands. We'll continue to upgrade information consumption and reform the manufacturing, equipment manufacturing to meet the need and demand of the market. Fourth, we must focus on the reinforcing circulation of the domestic and international circulation and further open up wider to the outside world. And we will continue to lift restrictions on foreign investment access to attract more foreign investment in high-end manufacturing sectors. Despite COVID-19, more and more foreign companies have been attracted to China. We hope that more institutions and talents will come to China, in particular in the manufacturing sector, and will encourage those competent Chinese companies to go global to enhance their capacity. And the international division of labor is a trend that cannot be reversed. So we need to focus on the integration of industrial chain, value chain, supply chain, and innovation chain, and engage in international cooperation, advance the dual circulation of domestic and international circulations. new energy automobile has developed quickly, but there is still fierce competition. So how is the status quo, and what will be the measures to support the development of the vehicles going forward? Thank you for your question. New energy vehicles, or NEV, is an important direction for the green development and transformation and upgrading of industries across the world. It is a strategic choice by China to realize high standard development. MIIT, together with other government departments, have rolled out a number of supporting policies, as many as 60 policies and measures in support of the development of NEV. Various departments and provincial departments, together with our enterprises, are working in this direction, and we have made progress in the building of battery, motor, electric control. All these technologies has made breakthroughs, and the sales of NEV has topped the world for 6 years in a row, with a total number of 5.5 million vehicles produced. And last October, China rolled out a development plan of new energy vehicles between 2021 to 2035. This has charted the course for future development and also gave a strong boost to the confidence in this market. And last year, the growth of NEV in China is very rapid, with the total growth rate of 10.9%. And it is still growing rapidly. So the trend is very good. Having said that, we must see the challenges in this area. For example, the market competition in this area is very fierce. So it calls for higher quality, better service. And in these areas, more efforts needs to be done. So in the next stage, we will first and foremost enhance the quality. On the basis of the progress in the past, we will, in line with the market demand, continue to enhance the standard and standard supervision. Enterprises need to further enhance their capacity to produce higher quality vehicles. Second, we need to promote integration. We understand that it includes both new energy and vehicles. It incorporated various sectors and technologies. It also calls for the development of smart roads and networks. All these will ensure the services of the new energy vehicles. So we need to make an effort in this area to provide more functions to meet the need of consumers. Third, we need to improve the environment and to improve the favorable policies for charging, car parking, and other links. And we need to enhance the electric level of the public vehicles. Fourth, we need to expand opening up on the basis of lifting restrictions on foreign investment on new energy vehicles. We also need to engage in cooperation in technological innovation, international trade, and also criteria and rules and regulations to inject fresh impetus in this area. Thank you. Thank you from CNBC. During the 14th five-year plan, and also in face of the changing international environment, how about the development of the Chinese chips industry? Do you have specific objectives and also objectives for production? Thank you for your question. I will pass the floor to Mr. Tian Yulong. Integrated circuit and chips are the foundation of the information IT society. So it bears on the high quality development of the information industry. During the 13th five-year plan, the integrated circuit in China have made remarkable progress. First, in terms of the scale of this industry. In 2020, China's integrated circuit has realized a sales income of 884.8 billion yuan, with a growth rate of 20%, triple the speed of the global average. Second, in terms of the technology innovation, we've seen a great improvement. Third, the capacity of enterprises is also being enhanced in designing, manufacturing, and assembling and test. We have seen a number of backbone and competitive enterprises. The Chinese government attaches great importance to the development of chips, and we have rolled out relevant policies to promote the development of integrated circuit to further improve the development environment for this industry. And the key measures are as follows. First, we reduce the tax for enterprises. For the integrated circuit companies, they will see their corporate income tax reduced. And this is a strong boost to the development of the companies. And second, we will continue to enhance the basic technologies, basic questions, for example, the core techniques, infrastructure development, basic material, basic tools. Only by having strong basic technologies can we have further growth. And third, establishing platforms so that we will provide platforms and enabling environment for companies to draw on each other's strength. And fourth, we will encouraging the application of relevant technologies. For example, encourage the use of chips in automobile industries, Medicare, energy, and new generation IT. And fifth, we must have personnel, professionals in these areas. So we've take measures at universities to meet that purpose. And sixth, we need to enhance cooperation globally to have a good environment. So this area faces great opportunities as well as challenges. So we must strengthen international cooperation to strengthen the industrial chain for the sound development of this area. This will not only support China's development in this area, but also support the global IT development. And the Chinese government also gives strong support to the development of industries in this area, and we want to create a market-based, a legal-based, internationalized environment for the development. Thank you. Since last year, COVID-19 has dealt a strong blow to the industries, but our industrial chains and the supply chains have withstood the test and making great contributions to our economic growth. So what are the considerations during the 14th five-year plan period?
Thank you for your question. I agree with you. You said that COVID-19 has posed a stress test under actual conditions for China's industrial and supply chain, and we have successfully withstood the test. And this was thanks to the strength of our industrial supply chain in terms of the COVID-19 response supplies like masks, ventilators, drugs, and PPE. And then we reopened the economy and the industrial chain swiftly. All those have shown the strength of our industrial chain. But during this process, the weak links and shortcomings of our industrial and supply chain were also laid bare. And now we have begun our work to systemically overhaul the 41 major categories of the industry as well as subcategories of the industry to identify shortcomings and weaknesses as well as our strengths and advantages. We need to make a good assessment of the situation of our industrial supply chain so that we'll be able to further strengthen our competitive edges and shore up our weak links and make up for our shortcomings. Basically, it means we need to strengthen and make up for the industrial chain. To strengthen the industrial chain, it means we will further enhance our competitive edges so that we can be a better position for development. For example, we will focus on developing a new type of industrial chain in terms of 5G, NEV, high-end medical equipment, biomedicine, new material, and upgrade the traditional industrial chain so as to maintain the integrity of the industrial chain. Many of China's traditional industries have global presence and they produce the most products in the world. So it is important to maintain the integrity of those industrial chains. We will improve the regional layout of our industries. In China, different regions vary in terms of industrial development, so we will make sure that the existing industrial clusters can fully leverage their competitiveness and strengthen their existing competitive edge and enhance its competitiveness. By making up for the links, we need to shore up the weak links in the industrial chain so that the industrial chain will not break down when it's needed the most. Here there are several priorities. We need to rebuild the industrial foundation. That means we will introduce new mechanisms to organize research and development breakthroughs and reorganize the production process. And then we will strengthen the development of national innovation centers. During the 13th five-year plan period, we have already built 17 national centers for innovation, and going forward, we will meet the needs for industrial innovation and accelerate the building of national manufacturing innovation centers with a focus on leveraging the incentive of local authorities and enterprises and build a network of manufacturing innovation so that China's manufacturing innovation system will be better developed and our strength will be stronger in this regard. Thank you. Next question. Thank you, Reuters. How do you evaluate the work of tech firms in terms of protection of private information and privacy? What will you do in this regard? For example, what will China do to ensure that apps will not share personal information with third parties?
Thank you for your question. In terms of privacy protection, the Chinese government has all along paid attention to this area. In 2020, it might be the best year in history that in terms of protection of privacy because we are progressing in this area. Second, we must see that the development of IT is very rapid. Thanks to the reform and opening up, and also the supervision, and also our encouragement of innovation. We have a colorful usage of IT, which has provided convenience to people's lives. But at the same time, supervision in the process of development calls for further improvement. For example, there are many apps in our smartphones. Some people say that there are maybe more than 3 million apps in the apps market. Among those 3 million apps, it is hardly imaginable how to exercise supervision and regulation properly. We have stepped up efforts to regulate the applications in this area. Last year, MIIT have launched campaigns to deal with problems in these areas according to the complaints by the general public. For example, people may complain that their address, their voice, and the content of WeChat messages may be gained by some apps illegally. So we have launched campaigns to deal with those moves, and it has produced good results. This year, with a greater call for better regulation, we will do more to regulate the apps market. In protecting the information safety, for those apps that refuse to take actions to change its improper conduct, we will develop further technologies to better identify the loopholes, to better protect the interests of the general public. And also there are all kinds of pop-ups in our smartphones that can hardly be turned off. So in the advertisement harassment, how to turn off those pop-ups, there should be an obvious mark. And for example, sometimes if we want to register onto Reuters and some pop-up came out, we have to turn off the advertisement before having access to our favorable websites. So it has caused inconvenience. The Chinese government is steadfast in protecting the privacy of our people, and also we will launch special campaigns to deal with those illegal moves. We will enhance the sense of gaining for our general public, and we will have online reporting system that is 12321 online complaint center. So we welcome the report of such illegal moves. In January, IIT has rolled out the rare earth document and regulation draft to solicit opinions. Why is such an document rolled out in such a point of time?
Well, thank you for your question. In January this year, the MIIT issued a draft regulation on management of rare earth. As we know, rare earth is a strategically important resource. We introduced this draft regulation in light of the actual need for the development of the rare earth industry and the problems that we have encountered in reality. This is to ensure that the market plays the decisive role in the allocation of resources and that the government plays its due role in upholding market order, which means it needs to manage what it should manage and it does not manage what it should not. China is a major country of rare earth. We produce the most rare earth, more than any other country in the world. Some individual country accuse China of restricting rare earth, while at the same time what they buy in terms of rare earth all is produced from China. And it will be race to the bottom if we short sell or underprice our rare earth product. On the other hand, you can take a look at China's rare earth producers. Indeed, there are environmental protection issues which have caused concerns from the general public. So some companies have been excessively exploiting rare earth without effectively protecting the environment. Thirdly, rare earth is called rare earth because it's rare, and the unchecked exploitation of the resource has caused a waste. For example, there are some companies who only exploit the most concentrated part of the rare earth mine without fully leveraging the other sources. So it creates a problem of comprehensive use. Fourth, there has been a low level of rare earth production. It is not helpful for long-term development. This is an area we need to learn from Japan, which has a lot of high-end rare earth processors. MIIT is a competent authority in this sector. We need to play our due role in this area. As I said, we need to consider the global division of labor in the industrial chain. This is a general trend. We are all interconnected, and we need to all work together to address the challenges we meet in economic development and the development of the market in terms of resources and products. And we need to further ensure the healthy and sustainable development of the industry in light of the real conditions. Thank you. With Ta Kung Pao, we have learned that China's industrial added value reached 31.31 trillion yuan. Now there are still a lot of uncertainties. What is the MIIT's assessment for this year's economic performance, and what measures will it take to ensure the steady development of the industry and information technology sector? Thank you for your question. I will ask Mr. Tian to answer your question. Thank you for your question. Since 2020, in the face of the once-in-a-century COVID-19 outbreak, General Secretary Xi Jinping has been personally involved in the direction and arrangements. Under the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at the core, we have made major strategic gains in COVID-19 response and economic and social development. China's economic growth is stable and has become the only major economy that secured a positive growth. This is something recognized by all. So generally speaking, we still have a long-term upward trend in the economy, and we need to seek progress in the industrial part of the economy, and we need to fully leverage the market potential of the country. So in 2021, we still forecast a better environment for industrial development. That said, there are still challenges as well as opportunities. Global COVID developments and economic performance remains unstable, and the global supply and industrial chain still poses risks to China's industrial development in terms of the restriction of supplies. Some industries in China are still in a period of recovery, and they still face challenges in terms of their operation. But such situation is being improved. Generally speaking, we can see that China's strength in economic development lies in the leadership of the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at the core, and our strength of the system. And on the other hand, we have very rich experience accumulated in our previous development, and we have very clear arrangements in terms of the 14th five-year plan period and long-term vision beyond 2035. So for the next 5 years and more, we have an overall blueprint for the development, and this provides the strategic guidance for our development. Particularly in this year, the Central Economic Work Conference has made comprehensive arrangements for the economic development this year, and the upcoming MPC and CPPCC sessions will also specify the targets and goals for this year's economic work. MIIT need to fully implement its role and make solid work to ensure progress in all sectors. There are the following measures that we will take. First is to make breakthroughs in basic and key areas. As Minister Xiao mentioned, we will modernize the industrial basis, rebuild the industrial basis. Second, we will focus on a stable and better industrial supply chain. This is an important basis for China's industrial economy. By strengthening and improving the industry, we will have a better foundation. Third is to advance the digital transformation of the manufacturing, especially the application of information technology. We will improve the industrialization of the digital economy and digital transformation of the industry. Fourth is to advance high-quality development of the ICT sector. 5G development is an area that we have made significant progress, and we will advance the development in this area and make plans for 6G development to ensure the security of the internet. Fifth, we will give stronger support to smaller firms and all market entities and focus on providing financial relief for smaller firms, as well as the protection of their lawful rights and interests, so that enterprises of all sizes can develop an integrated manner. Sixth, we will implement reform and opening up measures, advance reform of government functions, and improve the environment for manufacturing. At the same time, we need to provide strong support for international industrial chain cooperation. MIIT is also an important participant in the provision of COVID-19 response supplies. We will ensure the production of key COVID-19 response supplies. And last, we will fully formulate a good 14th five-year plan for this area and formulate our plans in key areas and industries and guide high quality and high level development with a well formulated plan. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. This is a general question, so I will focus on the function of my ministry. The self-reliance of science and technology is based on the development needs in China, in our technology and IT development. For example, in IT development, China has the largest market. Over the years, China has become the largest consumer of trading goods. I have read a reporting recently. In 1972, we've imported the first Boeing 707 aircraft. And that was the first one. In 1986, we imported 100 aircrafts, and in 2013, we imported 1,000 aircraft. So we have a huge demand. But having said that, we have to rely on ourselves in some production. We need to acquire the technology and have the capacity to produce it. And we have to see the growing demand of the general public and higher requirement. So this has given a boost to production. For example, the high-speed railway technology, the home appliances, all these have been produced due to the growing demand of our people. Third, China is a populous country with 1.4 billion population. The expectations of our people for a better life cannot be bought. No one can meet our demand. So many have to be produced by ourselves. This process of self-reliance is to meet our demand and also is our contribution to the world. If we only buy from the world, then I believe no one can meet that huge demand. So the self-reliance is in itself a contribution to the world. Fourth, science and technology knows no border. It belongs to the shared wisdom of humanity. So the development of science and technology in China will surely contribute to the world development in this area. For example, the growing of 5G in China. Last year, 118,000 stations have been built. And this year and going forward, we'll build more networks. And we will also develop 6G. What will be the communications look like in the future? What kind of service will be provided? We are also working on that and planning for that. It have to be intellectual intensive and talent intensive industry. So we are open to it. We would like to work with the rest of the world to help improve the people's living standard. The purpose of self-reliance in science and technology is not for ourselves. It is an effort of building a community with a shared future for mankind. And in this process, we will provide knowledge and positive energy to the world. The result of self-reliance is to serve all mankind. This is not a selfish purpose. So when talking about self-reliance, my ministry will raise higher requirements for our job. We need to implement it one after another, taking solid steps. And in this process, we are open to cooperation. We would like to work with the United States, the European countries, developing countries, and all the countries. Thank you. "5G as an emerging industry has drawn wider attention. Can you tell us about the status quo of 5G development in China and what are the key measures in the 14th five-year plan period?"
Well, thank you for your question. The development of 5G network is an area where China started early, and we are basically leading the pack in terms of the number of base stations, quality of base stations, and the quality of equipment. China has prominent firms like Huawei and ZTE and communication groups. Comparing with Nokia and Ericsson, they have a lot of cooperation, and our firms are very competitive. We have built over 700,000 base stations and invested over hundreds of billions of yuan, covering all large cities in China. And our strength in terms of network and chip production will provide better service, and the number of users is growing rapidly, and the number is changing by the day. Now we have over 200 million users of 5G, which is absolutely the largest in the world. The level of satisfaction is, although not as good as 4G, but is better than in that of the same stage of 4G. And the volume of data usage of 5G is 50% higher than that of 4G, and the unit price has been lowered by 46%, and it will continue to drop. Last year, China sold 663 million cell phones, which is a very large number. And there has also been good development in new areas such as 5G plus high resolution, 5G plus AR and VR, which has been applied in areas such as gaming, sports, and other home services. In terms of sports, medicine, there has a very strong application of 5G plus AI and big data. During COVID-19 response, there has been a lot of application in tele-education and telemedicine. And 5G plus industrial internet has also been developing fast. We have over 1,100 such projects. There are many good scenarios for the use of 5G. I would suggest that you take a look at Shanghai's COMAC in its application of 5G, and also the mining industry in Shanxi province and Hunan's Sany group, and also the Xiamen port. Those are all very good scenarios for the use of 5G. 5G has been serving as wings to help those industries take off. Going forward, we will continue to strengthen the basis for this industry. We have a good foundation supported by prominent firms like Huawei and other big companies. And second, we need to deepen integrated application across all sectors. Here I can see a lot of good progress of China Mobile and other communication companies. Third, we need to expand international exchanges and cooperation. We need to build an industrial ecosystem of global collaboration that is more safe, open, and trustworthy, so that 5G's innovation and development can deliver benefits to people of all the world. As I said, we are in an exploration period for 6G and future technologies, for which we need to formulate uniform measures, standards. We need to strengthen communication and discussion to promote a common progress. Thank you. Next question. thank you with Hongxin News. Recently, MIIT has issued notification to support the pilot zones for AI innovation in Beijing, Tianjin, Hangzhou, Guangzhou, and Chengdu. What support will they have, and how can they contribute to China's AI development? And what is the future consideration for the development of the pilot zones? Well, thank you for your questions. Let me ask Mr. Tian to take this question. Well, thank you for the question. AI is an important driving force for the new round of industrial revolution. And the development of the pilot zones is a step to implement the CPPCC, the CPC Central Committee and State Council's decisions. Last year, MIIT approved the development of 3 pilot zones in Shanghai, Shenzhen, and Jinan. Basically, we want them to take pilot measures in terms of innovation, data sharing, and industrial support. Now, 5 more pilot zones in Beijing, Tianjin, Hangzhou, Guangzhou, and Chengdu were established, which are the second batch. So overall, we have 8 pilot zones covering Beijing, Tianjin, Hebei, and the Yangtze River Delta and Zhuhai River Delta, as well as Chengdu Economic Circle. So this is a exploring process for innovation, and we are making further promotion work in terms of exploration, innovation, and pioneering. First, we are introducing policy support and providing market upgrading and professional support so that new success can be formulated and new patterns of success can be formed. Second, we need to ensure the actual application of new technology. This is the key in AI because its strength lies in big data, big market, and multiple scenarios. We need to ensure that governments at all levels cooperate with firms and industries so that AI can be actually applied especially in smart transportation, smart education, and smart medicine, so that new drivers of growth can be created. At the same time, we need to ensure that development is tailored to specific locations. This is a rapidly developing industry, and there is no one-size-fits-all pattern, and it needs to be tailored to the actual conditions of different locations. So those pilot zones have developed patterns of development, including Shanghai's Highland of AI, Shandong's Manufacturing Plus AI, and Shenzhen's calculation platforms. Those patterns can be promoted to other industries. So basically, pilot zones feature government support and enterprise participation. Policy support is a major area that we focus on. We need to leverage the main role of market entities and ensure the integration of industries. So going forward, we will make greater efforts in those areas and advance international cooperation to promote the healthy, sustainable, and safe global development of AI. Thank you. I can see a lot of interest in MIIT. In the interest of time, the last 2 questions. With Economic Daily. During COVID-19, to help smaller firms overcome challenges, what has the MIIT done? In the 14th Five-Year Plan, it was laid out that support will be given to innovation-driven smaller firms as sources of innovation. What will the MIIT do to support service for smaller firms and to improve their innovation capacity?
Small and medium-sized enterprises is the largest number of enterprises entities in China's market, and they are the most viable entities. Among them, 80 million are private companies, and among the 40 million enterprises, 95% are small and medium-sized. So they are the main forces to sustain the jobs. The CPC Central Committee and the State Council have all along placed great attention to the development of SMEs and rolled out a series of measures. Last year, SMEs faced a lot of challenges, and governments have issued a host of measures to support their development. MIIT will work with other departments to implement the CPC's decisions. To put it simply, we will reduce their tax, delayed payment, and financing cost. Last year, the tax and fees reduction have exceeded 2.5 trillion yuan. This is a great support to the development of SMEs. And we've continued to clear the delayed payment of private enterprises and zeroed out 161 billion yuan of debt. The interest rate for for SMEs was 5.08%, dropped by 0.8 percentage points. At the same time, we will provide good service and help SMEs in digitization and increase their financing scale. The public service systems have organized more than 90,000 activities for SMEs, providing 6.7 million services and serving 58 million enterprises. In China, we have about 1,832 little giant enterprises and more than 30,000 specialized SMEs across China. The loans for SMEs exceeded 15.1 trillion yuan, up by 30.3%, which is very big. Given the large number of SMEs, we not only need national level supporting policies, but also calls for the more targeted policies issued by different localities in line with the actual condition. For MIIT, we will focus on the following. First, we will give priority to the policy system, service system, and development environment. These are the foundation of the policies. We will further improve the systems in support of SMEs, improve government public services, market-based services, and also services for public good. We will encourage service institutions to provide standardized, calibrated, and personalized services. At the same time, we will focus on financing and interests protection. We will be result-oriented. We will strengthen coordination between governments, banks, and enterprises, deepen cooperation of industries and financing sector, and continue to lower the financing cost for SMEs. Last year, the banks and financial institutions have done a lot in this area. We will continue to expand the channels for direct financing. And thirdly, we will focus on the one target of enhancing the innovation capacity of SMEs and enhance their professional level. SMEs are an important ground for innovation. We need to improve the cultivation system for innovative SMEs and further increase the number of specialized enterprises to drive thousands or even millions of little giant companies to realize innovative development. Just now, Minister Xing have responded on questions related to chips. We also pay attention to the development of the steel industry. At the MIT conference this year, resolute measures will be taken to reduce the crude steel production. It is expected that there will be 1.1 billion tons of demand in this area. So how do you balance the reduce of production and increasing demand? Thank you for your question. This is on the mind of many people. Since 2016, we've implemented the policies to reduce overcapacity. This is especially true in the steel industry. We've cut 170 million tons of steel production. This year, we will continue with this work. General Secretary Xi Jinping announced at the 75th UN General Debate that China will peak its CO2 emission by 2030 and try to realize carbon neutrality by 2060. This is a very high requirement and standard. We have to ensure its implementation. And the steel industry has to make its efforts toward this goal. There is great demand for steel. There are a variety of reasons. First reason is the rapid recovery of economic development. So there is a great demand for steel and other commodities. After the economic recession last year, this year we may have some good news. The expectations are growing, so there are greater demand in this area. The second reason is that the steel consumption per capita number is still relatively low compared with our economic development as a whole. In the construction sector, the focus is still on the bricks and cement. So the steel is not used there. This is especially true in rural areas. And in terms of transportation, the vehicle ownership per 100 users is still relatively low compared with the overall development. That is why we have huge demand. The third reason is that the production of steel has to be viewed in the perspective of energy efficiency and pollution reduction. So we have to reduce its production, but how much needs to be cut? The MIT is working with relevant departments on the plan. In this process, we need to raise the standard, enhance the performance of the product. So with the same sum production, we have to increase the variety and enhance its quality. In reducing the production, we are seeking intensive growth. The total steel production, if without a control or limitation, would have been higher than the current number. So currently, the production is not concentrated. We're still relying on the outside market, and all these challenges have to be addressed going forward. While reducing production, we must pay attention to energy saving and pollution reduction. The CO2's emission by crude steel is dropping, but the total number is still quite large. And the coal consumption per ton of crude steel is lower than the global average. The number is 545. But we still need to focus on pollution reduction in this sector. Thank you. Thank you all. This is the end of the press conference.